You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box. What on earth is he doing here? I mean, these things are usually on the street. Oh, feel it. Feel it, you feel it?
It's a faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup celebrating nearly 50 years of Doctor Who universe. Hold tight. You never know where the TARDIS is going next.
Who are you?
I'm glad you asked that again. Bit of adrenaline, dash of outrage, and a hint of panic knitted my brain back together. I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor. Sorting out fair play throughout the universe. Now please, get off this planet while you still have a choice.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Earth Station Who podcast. That's right, folks. We are continuing with the E-Space Trilogy, and we are looking tonight at State of Decay, part 2 of the wonderful classic final season of Tom Baker, where he goes into E-Space and with his fun companions, K9, Romana, and that other guy we're not talking about. The one with the star badge. We're not talking about that guy. But people we are talking about, we are talking with our crew this week. And joining us, of course, returning is Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
How are you today, sir?
I am peachy keen.
And we also have Mary Ogle.
Hey, everybody. It is great to be here.
It's good to have you, Mary. Always good to have you. And, of course, continuing with the E-Space Trilogy, we figured why not have another Mike since he filled in so valiantly last week. Let's bring back Mike Falkner. Hello, Mike.
Hello. You know, I tried to fill in, but there's no way I can fill that hat or the tiki presence that Michael brings. So, yeah, I feel like I did an okay job, but not a howdy job.
You guys did pretty well. As a matter of fact, I listened to the episode, and at one point I caught myself because I was like, "Man, this is a good show."
You might want to listen to our podcasts more often.
I was like, "Wait a minute."
Hey.
Well, we know if he ever becomes too big with his tiki, we know who to bring in as his full-time replacement.
There we go.
It just has to
and
be
I would
somebody
still
named
listen.
Mike.
Exactly. No one would notice it's another Mike, so it's okay.
You don't have to change any of the banners or ads or anything like that. It's just Mike, and Mary again.
As long as we could teach them how to say howdy, I think we're set.
Yeah.
Well, that takes some skill.
I'll start practicing now.
Mm-hmm. Look in the mirror and go howdy, howdy, howdy.
I have been saying it for over 40 years, so.
What got you started? What got you started with that?
I have no idea. I can distinctly remember growing up in Massachusetts saying it though. So I was a strange kid.
Did you watch a little too much hee-haw growing up?
Can anybody really watch too much hee-haw?
No, of course not.
I've never.
Because I'm a picking and I'm a grinning. Oh God, we could do a whole podcast episode just on hee-haw. Ooh, we do have a lot of TBAs over on Earth Station 1, so.
Earth Station hee-haw.
Actually, one year I did that as a joke. I made all these new shows joining the ESO network, and I made up Earth Station hee-haw.
That's no joke, sir.
Hey,
we take our hee-haw very seriously around these parts.
Couple of the shows that people were like, "When's it starting? I can't wait." Like Earth Station Dreaming, when we were going to do the Sandman podcast, or Earth Station Link, which we were going to do all about each episode of Lancelot Link Secret Chimp. It could have been a lot of fun.
Is that going to be like 5 episodes?
If we made it that long,
Yeah,
I would have been
I
impressed.
think it'd be 5 episodes.
I don't know how many episodes there were of Lancelot Link. It seems like that would probably be very small, though.
No, there were two or three seasons of it.
Wow.
That's just sad.
It lasted longer than class.
Well, That's not saying much.
Yeah, your bar's a little low there.
Yeah, come on. Let's set it a little higher.
It lasted longer than any show starring K9.
Oh, that's just...
Aww.
Oh, I see. I crossed the line now.
Oh.
Well, okay, you got that Australian thing. I don't know what that was, but man, on the other side, you're messing with Sarah Jane. I mean,
Mike, how could you? Oh my
I'm not
God.
saying it's better or worse. I'm just saying it lasted longer. It's just a fact.
Anytime
I ain't hating.
you
I'm
can have
just facting.
monkeys dressed in clothes and going, so Mata, are you ready to go? Yes, Lancelot, it's awesome.
Oh, we're gonna get in trouble.
I know.
Now the
And then
crossover.
you also had the Baron. That's right, Lancelot Link. Okay, that's enough.
Okay, so this means you watched it.
Oh, of course I watched it. It was awesome. As a kid.
Yes, we watched it.
Yes. Aha! I got it. Aha!
Now, granted, there wasn't a lot of choices back then. Not certainly as many choices as we have
Point
now.
there. Yeah.
I wonder if there's a podcast on HR Puffin stuff. That would,
I'm sure
There should be.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if there wasn't.
On all the
Yeah.
Sid and Marty Krofft stuff.
Oh, that would be awesome. We've done a couple of episodes about Sid and Marty Krofft, but just to do about HR Puffin stuff, to go into details and stuff. And God, they had to be doing drugs.
Yeah, I was going to say, people think Doctor Who is weird.
Yeah, exactly.
Jar Puffin stuff.
Exactly. God, witchy poo alone. And the magic flute.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well. Whew.
Yes. Thank God we don't have Darren on, because he'd be going off on the magic flute for a while.
Yeah, that's just not even
What's the phrase from Harry's Alley? I'll have what he's having.
Exactly. So we got a great episode of Doctor Who to talk about, getting back on topic now. I know I'm the one who took us off topic. It's okay. It's okay. But definitely looking forward to talking about it with all you guys. And, of course, we want to hear from you guys at home. Please write us at eswpodcast@gmail.com or call us at the phone-in line at 404-963-9057. Some news that we do want to bring up podcast-wise. We're still going to be coming to you guys every 2 weeks, but there's going to be a slight delay now for our listeners when they get the podcast, because as of this episode, our friends over at the Patreon, that's right, folks, if you're a subscriber to the Patreon, you get this podcast a couple days early. So this podcast should go live by Thursday onto our Patreon, and then 48 hours later, this podcast will be released to the general public on Saturday. So basically, it's just a couple days off, but why not hear it like you usually do and help support the network at the same time? It's, the show's still free and everything, but as a Patreon and supporter of the ESO network, you get Earth Station 1, Earth Station Who, and the Dragon Con report all coming out this week early. So you'll get previews of it, and you'll have the full episodes to listen to 48 hours before it's released to the general public. And it's just a nice little thank you to the people who subscribe to us. And you could subscribe for as little as 25 cents a week. It's not that bad. And you could do it at ESO Network, is for patreon.com/ESO Network. Pretty straightforward, right up there. All right, kids. Let's hop in now with Doctor Who State of Decay. We're going back to the 22nd of November, 1980. And man, the fashions in this was totally something out of the 80s. You could tell really straight off from the bat. Did you guys watch this, when it first came out, or when it was available in the States, or is this, something you guys came to later?
I can safely say I did not. That's because I'm young.
Well, you're the baby.
Oh, ain't it?
Well, you are baby Mike, so it's
Right. No, I was actually alive when this came out, but I was not in a position at all to watch the episode. So.
Mary or Mike?
I actually did. Well, I watched it on PBS at some point. I don't remember exactly when. And
Probably for me, it was probably 81, 82.
yeah, it's probably
when it
somewhere
showed it
around.
on PBS.
I think this is the first time I've seen this. So I think this is the first time I've seen watching the E-Space ones. I think this is the first time I've seen any of these.
I thought you did the whole Tom Baker run.
No, I actually timed it so that I would end it with what we were doing. So I haven't gotten a chance to watch Space ones until we're doing it now. So,
Oh, wow.
so I watched. I did, even though I wasn't on last week, because I intended to be on last week. I did watch Full Circle, and yeah. But yeah, like you guys said, ouch. Yeah. So yeah, this is the first time I've seen it. I think I would have remembered this because vampires are kind of my thing. So
did you skip ahead to Logopolis then, or how did?
I had seen Logopolis because we reviewed that one a couple years ago, right, Mike?
Yeah, when we did the regeneration stories.
Yeah, we also did Keep Her Tracking as well. So
okay.
Those two I'd already seen recently. I think I'd seen those before I started my viewing of all the Tom Baker run. So I haven't rewatched them yet. I will do that after we're done with E-Space. But
So he gets to still see the giant cactus, in other words.
Yeah.
You're a lucky man.
Oh, yeah, but then we got Warriors Gate next time.
Don't worry. It's all good. The moment has been prepared for. So.
Wow. Okay, we'll give you a bottle of apple pie for those. Don't worry. But yes, it is. It's been a while. It's probably been 20 years since I've seen this one. And I remember hating it the first time I saw it. But I actually enjoyed it a little bit more this time. But then again, this one also falls into the category an episode and stories that shouldn't have been 4 parts. This could have easily been a 2-parter.
Oh, yeah. Well, they always drag it out. I mean,
But at least it wasn't 6.
I don't know. You know what? I'm going to say right off the bat, I love this story. I loved it, and I thought it flew by. I mean, I thought it was fine. I thought every cliffhanger was earned, and I didn't feel bored at all. I thought it moved along pretty well. So, I'm just so happy that we got a Terrence Dicks episode again. This probably is the last one, I would think. Right? Is that true?
I think this is his last.
Yeah, and only because they dug this out of the, it was supposed to be done when they did Horror at Fang Rock. This was supposed to be aired then or filmed then, but the BBC was working on their adaptation of Dracula then, and they were like, nobody else is going to use vampires on our network, so they had to scrap it, and it just stayed in the pile. And John Nathan Turner found it as well. I also find it kind of cool that it's a sort of a reuniting of Dix and Barry Letts, who's still on as an executive producer. I guess maybe because I don't know whose idea that was, but maybe the studio, maybe BBC was not comfortable giving the reins entirely to John Nathan Turner yet. So having an experienced producer with Doctor Who like Barry, maybe to hold his hand for a little while, but I don't know how much input he really had. Yeah, this is a Terrence Dicks story, and it feels like those stories back from the 70s, the ones that are just at the end of the Hinchcliffe era, which is my favorite era of Doctor Who. And so you still have stories like this that are kind of written in that same vein, because it feels like a Hammer movie. I loved it. I ate this stuff up.
yeah, to me, this is just kind of B-movie fun.
Exactly. That's what it felt like more for me.
Yeah, it's just like an old-time horror movie, and it's a lot of fun to watch. And there's a lot of overacting in it, but it doesn't matter because it kind of fits what's going on.
Look, when you got to share a stage or a frame with Tom, you got to bring it.
Oh, and I felt like the vampires were totally eating up the scenery, so it was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you gotta bring your game if you're gonna be in a scene with Tom. Otherwise, he will chew you up and spit you out for breakfast.
Yeah, I had
I mean that. Yeah, I mean, if they gave out awards for overacting, I think everyone in here would have probably won one. But I mean, it's okay because it's fun. It's fun to watch. It's sort of like watching an old pantomime. You know, you're just sitting back and enjoying them all cheesing it up and having a great time.
Yeah, I was actually really struggling with how to describe, the feeling of this because they nailed the gothic atmosphere. It was kind of spooky and cold feeling, and I was like, but it's also got that cheesy element. Now you say it matches up with the Hammer films. I'm like, exactly. That's what I was trying to think of. It is definitely a B grade Hammer film atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, if Vincent Price walked through there,
oh man, it would have been perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Or Peter Cushing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I would have been happy seeing Darren McGavin in that scene. It would be awesome. So yeah, it was awesome, and for how bad the story was in this last one with Full Circle, how much better this one and well thought out the story was.
It really made me, because we're so used to comparing new Who with classic Who. I think we forget, or I don't know, sometimes I forget. It's me too, maybe it's just me, but I'm like, wow, within classic Who, there's a difference as well, because right when I'm like in the middle, while I'm watching this, I was thinking, wow, this has got the feel of an old Tom Baker. Like Tom Baker had been the Doctor for so long that his later stories feel different. They just have a different rhythm to them. They're not the same. And I think it's because of the showrunner and various other things, trying to change with the times maybe. But there's definitely, like, if you take the last few before this one and compare them to anything from the Hinchcliffe era, it's different. It's like night and day.
Oh, extremely so. But this is also, like we said last week, you could tell Tom was almost phoning it in some of the scenes, that he knew this was. Yeah, I felt completely. There was parts.
Think there's some wear and tear.
Yeah, there's definitely, you could tell Tom looked tired in some of the scenes. You could tell that he was, all right, I've only got 3 more stories left after this, Well,
here's the other thing too, and I don't know if I'm projecting onto this or not, so you guys tell me, but this is also a period where he and Lala aren't getting along, right?
Yes.
And I think it's noticeable.
Of course.
I think because Lala's scenes without Tom seems to be the old Romana, and I don't mean like the previous Romana. I mean like when she and Tom were first like there and together, like there was like she enjoyed, like she always had a smile on her face and she was enjoying things. And I don't know if it's just I find it hard to believe that they like actually wrote this into the character that she's seasoned now, but I found that she doesn't really have like, okay, so for example, where I really noticed it, there's a scene where they get up on the throne chairs, right? Where she and the Doctor get up on the throne chairs, and she looks like it's a high chair for her because she's like kicking her feet and everything. And he says something, and she smiles, and I'm like, oh my god, she's smiling! Like I haven't seen her smile in like 3 stories. like honestly smile like that, and that's the smile that she used to have all the time when she was first introduced, I think, with Tom. So I don't know if it was a conscious thing, but I definitely feel like the scenes between them are very strained.
Yeah, the tension was very palpable in these later episodes when they're together before she leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, extremely so.
It's a credit to them because I think they're still being professional about it, but it's just, it's too bad.
Mm-hmm. It is, and it sucks because at one point they had some of the best chemistry.
Yeah, well, so yeah.
Well, yeah.
So good,
exactly.
yes, right.
So good they got
On
married.
and off screen, right? So
exactly. So, but it is very apparent. And a lot of the scenes, she looks more comfortable with Matthew than she does with Tom. And that's saying something.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wasn't here last week, so I didn't get to talk about the introduction of Adric. And that's okay, because I don't think I would have had much more to add than what you guys did. And I hate to pile on the, let's dump on Adric train, but my God, it's difficult not to, because it's just, he just doesn't work. And in this, he doesn't work until, so prior to this, in my experience, I haven't seen all the Adric episodes, but prior to this, my favorite Adric was Blown Up Adric, right? That was my favorite Adric. Now I have a new favorite Adric. My new favorite Adric appears in, I think it's the last episode, and it's douchebag vampire Adric. I would have loved to seen him become a vampire and been a douchebag the entire run. He would have been one of the best companions ever.
Well, that's the one thing with Adric all the time, is he's always the first one to join in with the bad guys. And you'll see that also in the Peter Davison era multiple times.
But is he doing it just to because in this one he kind of goes,
I've got a plan. Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, did he really have a plan, or was he really betraying them? I mean, I would have loved it if he was really betraying them. If he's playing the, to compare to another science fiction franchise, if he's playing the Dr. Smith character, right?
No, he was betraying them in other stories. Well, this one, he had a plan.
Yeah, in this one, he does try to stab the bad guy, even though it's incredibly ineffective.
Right.
He's not a good shot with that knife.
Yeah.
No. But, man, when he turned to Romana and was like, well, look, you're the one who's going to be food. I don't want to be food. I'm going to get power and everything. I'm like, man, look at Matthew Waterhouse go. I'm like, douchebag Adric is my favorite Adric. I don't think they use him that well, as that later on. I think they try to make him, it's like a Wesley Crusher thing, right? Where he's just too smart for anybody.
Annoying as hell.
Exactly.
And that was one of my biggest complaints about this story was that, I mean, I get you're trying to write off Romana and K9 because they're, spoilers, they're leaving next episode. But you've also got to develop. You've
spoilers.
I know, man. I have now spoiled a 40-year-old episode of Doctor Who. But at the same time as you're writing off a long-term companion or two, you really should also be building up this other one that's going to be taking their place, going into the future. And I felt like his role was just so wasted in this story. I mean, you could almost keep him on the TARDIS for all 4 episodes and forget about it.
He's not even in it for a lot of it. He's just hypnotic state. I mean, he's not doing anything. I mean,
and that was the best part about him.
I was going to say that's one of the reasons why it's a better story because Adric isn't around.
Yeah, I mean, he's really used. The only use that he has is to separate the Doctor and Romana, which of course Lala was like, woohoo!
Right.
Yes, I'd rather be sacrificed to vampires than
Lala.
hang out with you.
You have to be with the guy I'm feuding with or with Adric.
Hold on, I'll go get it. No.
Yeah, sorry, everybody. Maybe that's the doctor calling.
The phone on the TARDIS works in here?
Wow. You're not supposed to work.
I like the vampire guys. All 3 of them were great. I thought they were just hamming it up, and I just loved it. I thought I almost wish though, and I like the plot too. Good for Terrence. I like the fact that it's not just a big vampire monster. It's an old Gallifrey villain Like, I thought, like, that history of, and the idea of the Time Lords having this battle with these giant vampires that could, like, suck the blood, like, out of a planet. I was like, I want to see that. Why hasn't Big Finish jumped all over this?
Mm-hmm. And this is supposed to be pre-Rassilon, even.
Yes.
So
I was like, man, awesome. I know what I'm going to pitch to Big Finish when isn't the guy coming to Hoolanta? I'm going to talk to him.
Yep. This is your ticket out of the big league to the big leagues, Mike.
The Time Lord Vampire War. Screw the whole Time War. I like that. I don't care about that as much as I want to see the Time Lord Vampire War.
As long as they keep the makeup consideration by the Rocky Horror Picture Show, I'll be fine with that.
Well, it did look pretty awesome, though, because the vampires looked like something off of the back of a game card, like a deck of cards.
The makeup was fun. They
Yeah.
did a good job with the old, when they turn old into dust. The bats were incredibly terrible.
Yes.
Yeah, the bats were bad. And, of course, the big bad bat at the end was horrible. Like
The rubber bat?
Yeah, that was... not the rubber, I mean the hand.
Man bat?
Yeah, the whole, like, the conclusion where he, like, the idea was so cool. I'm sure writing it was like, yeah, but, Terrence should know better. They're not... They can't pull this off, so it's going to look great. So, the whole, like, I'm going to shove a rocket down this guy's heart was just, that would have been a cool effect, but it...
What are the odds, though, of the ship hitting his heart,
Yeah, I mean, that was a dumb ending. They gave up on showing it. They were just like, we're just going to do a hand.
Yeah. I mean,
a hand
obviously
breaking through the cardboard.
You could have written it in a way that it was like, the doctor steering it and all that kind of stuff, and program. Like, you could have done it so that it would, but then they're also so close to it. I'm like, that explosion would take out, like, the village even. Like,
and it was really, it must have been a tiny little rocket. I mean, it didn't make sense at all. That was just, that part was pretty lame.
I do give them credit for using Chekhov's rocket ship there, because as the first episode started up, and they're like, "There's this castle on the hill." I'm like, "Oh, that's a rocket ship attached to that."
Yep.
Wonder if they're going to use that at all. Sure enough, they used it.
I love how Tom had to go to the 3 different bridges. It's like we're each one of them in a different part of the bridge or something that they had to be part of, and it was just like. And he got very lucky that the last one, he banged his hand on it and it started up. It was just
he Fonzied it.
Exactly. Well,
there's a lot of fun. There's a lot of funzing in this one too. So, like, a lot of guys, I think he is most, but other characters are like trying to get the monitors to work and everything, and they just bang it. And yeah, back in the 70s, early 80s, that's how we got.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
That's okay. I'll beep you out. No, but it's literally, it was just like every single thing, like the monitor, the computer, the spaceship. Let's just bang on it. That's how you fix it.
Yep.
And, for us who work in IT sometimes, that's not how you fix things, folks. No matter how hard you try. But if you're Tom Baker, it's okay. But there was a lot of cliche in this, and the villagers, and some of it didn't make sense. Like when they were capturing the villagers at the very beginning and taking them to, the castle, they had them line up and everything. It was like, almost felt like too rushed for that part.
I do wish we had gotten, and that would have been a whole different subplot, which they could have used to fill a little bit. But like, I did like the idea that that guy was building an army, because it seemed like the bats. Now, am I mistaken that the bats were the people? Like, that was his army?
I don't know if they were.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they were.
I never thought that was just bats under his control.
Yeah, I don't think they were people. They were just.
I thought since they were all vampires, he was he had this army of like slave zombie bat things. That sounds much cooler in my head.
Yeah, actually,
I'm going to stick with that. So
that may have been a better plot point, but yeah, I think they were just being rounded up and drained, and that was the end of them.
Because the rest of the guards, quite frankly, seemed really inept.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the guards were really lame. And for that one guy, the only one who had the really big bushy beard. Yeah. Hey, wait a minute. You don't look kept up or whatever, like the rest of the guards. And it was just like, oh yeah, and then he'd hit him. Yeah, that went over well.
I mean, that didn't make any sense at all when he said, well, I used to be a guard. I defected, but I'll just walk back in. What? They're not going to know? They know you left.
Well, I think he meant that he knows the place. He knows how to get in. I didn't think he was actually going to be, because it's not like he put on the uniform and went, hey, everybody, remember me? Like, he didn't walk in doing that. He actually was trying to be a little stealthy. But I think because they were like, we don't know, like, because the old man kept going, let's wait, we don't know anything. And he's like, I've been there. I used to be a guard. I know my way around. So I'm going to go. So I thought that was earned.
Okay. If you say
and there were
so.
little things too, like the couple that had the boy, like you said, the boy that got their son that got like kidnapped or whatever, or taken rather. I think that wasn't really like, because at the end he gets a little bit of vengeance, but it's just a really quick scene and it's not really that satisfactory resolved. Like, because he does kind of get him at the end, like, you took my son, or whatever, to the guard, and that could have been done better, I think.
Mm-hmm. I agree. There was just, like I said, I wish this would have been 3 episodes or 2 parts. I would have enjoyed it completely, but I thought some of it was a little just too stretched out.
It did keep my interest the whole way through, but I admit there is filler in there. Mm-hmm. It's just,
I love K9, the leader of the guard. I want to know how the hell he got up on that throne.
They built a ramp.
I laughed so hard when I saw that. I was just like, that is awesome.
That was just like, okay, that gets a thumbs up. It is time to evacuate. I'll fall and crash and break up when I fall down. His head will just pop off. So, yeah, it was just... For a vampire story, it was fun. It was nice to see a Doctor Who vampire story, and it led into Time Lord lore, which was awesome.
Yeah, that's what I didn't expect from this. I thought that was cool.
I think you got that because it was Terrence. If it was anybody else, you probably wouldn't. They would have done it, and it wouldn't have made sense.
Maybe obviously Terrence is the guy who wrote it, but I don't know. I mean, there's not a lot of those that stuff from that era where you do get stuff like that, but because they kind of just ignore it a lot of times. But
mm-hmm.
I also thought it was interesting that I think this is the second story in a row where the people have like this thing that they're afraid of. Like in the last in the last story, Full Circle, everybody was afraid of the Mistfall, but it wasn't really explained like what that was or what why you fear that or just anything about it. And in here, it's similar to the wasting. Like they call it, they're talking about the wasting, and like it's never really explained what that is.
There's a lot of parallels between Full Circle and this one, and that was one of the things that drew it down for me. Was they got the rocket ship in plain sight, that they've got the technology that they're forbidden from using or that they don't understand, and they've regressed somehow as a society, and they, like you said, they got the creeping fear in the background, and so much of it almost felt like they tossed both writers the same idea and said, go with what you've got. And get your best shot. And then they said, oh, these look really good, actually. Let's just make it parts 1 and part 2 and go with that.
Yeah, and to your point, like, in Full Circle, we get, like, the universal monster, like, equivalent of Creature from the Black Lagoon, and this one we get vampires. So it's like, hey, that's like, I don't know, are we expecting Frankenstein in the next one?
I mean, yeah, there were a lot of similarities between those two stories. I noticed that, too. This one was better.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, extremely so. And, I was almost expecting that the next one will have Frankenstein or something. Oh, wait, that was Brains of Morbius. Sorry, never mind. But it was neat to see. I overall enjoyed it, so more than I did when I was younger. So I guess, having seen more Hammer horror films, this, made me feel that's where they were going with it, not just all cheese and everything. So that's pretty awesome. So any last thoughts before we go ahead and rate? I guess not. All right. 1 out of 5 TARDISes, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Michael, you can go first.
Which Michael?
You take your pick. There's 2 of them. Or myself. Ha ha.
Hey. Ha
And fight.
On show.
Okay. All right. We'll let ladies go first. Mary.
Oh, let's boy.
Oi.
Oi. This is fun. This is a lot of fun to watch. I mean, it's very nostalgic for me, and like we were saying, I mean, it reminds me a lot of watching old horror movies on Saturday morning with Vincent Price, and that alone just makes it fun. And is it profound? No. Does it have a lot of loose ends? Yes. Is there overacting? Oh my God, yes. But it's fun. It is just, I would recommend it because it is just one of those things where you can just sit back and laugh and enjoy it. And it's fun to watch Tom, and it's fun to watch Romana, knowing that she's going to go soon. And it's not as fun to watch Adric, but he's not in it that much.
No, he's laying down hypnotized most of the
thank God.
Second and third episode.
So, I think I'd give it a 4.
Wow.
An episode.
Okay. Baby Mike.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you, Mary. It's the atmosphere is something they caught really well. It does have a lot of that cheese. There is not a piece of that set that is unchewed. It just has the fun feeling. I mean, even to the point, like we said, of K9 somehow sitting up on top of that throne as the leader of the guard, the captain of the guard. And it's just like, it doesn't make any sense, but it's fun and it's enjoyable. The big downsides, of course, is that it repeats, the full circle for a lot of the plot and the tension with Romana and the Doctor because of the internal struggle with the actors. And then, of course, Adric, who's just totally wasted in this story. But overall, I think I do settle at a 4 as well. Okay.
Howdy, Mike.
It's a solid 4 for me. The Doctor and vampires, and Terrence Sticks gives us a script that does them both justice. They have a bunch of with a lot of fun. I think it stands out particularly this season because, like the like 3 or 4 before this are just awful. Like they're like Tom and Romana are going on this run of stories that are just not great. And I think the bottom of it is like Leisure Hive, which is one of my least favorites. But so, we're coming slowly out of it. And by this, I think we peak. I don't know. I haven't seen the next one yet, so I don't know. But I just think it. You sighed a lot at this one, though. At the mention of this one, you sighed a lot. So I was very surprised. I was like, this is really cool. Because I got the impression from you that this was going to be terrible.
I was going off of 15-year-old Mike's memory, so it's okay.
Gotcha. And there's something I guess I just really like the more gothic episodes of Doctor Who where even when they go to a different planet, which they've done several times, and there's some sort of feudal, like medieval, like society, I just am more comfortable in that environment with the Doctor rather than the ones that are like futuristic into space. Like those are cool too, but I just think especially English drama does that so well that it's just a treat every time they do it. And the other actors, like I said, they got to hold their own against Tom, and I think they do a great job creating characters that I wish there was more of this. Like I said, I would really love to see like some sort of follow up to this.
Or some kind of prequel like you were talking about.
Yeah, or some mention of like just the fact that like I said, just the idea of the Time Lords fighting these like big huge vampires, with the Great One being like the one that gets away. Like I picture Big Finish doing a great audio with the Great One being voiced by like Tim Curry. Come on, that would be awesome.
Could almost work, possibly. Are you listening, Big Finish? Okay. My score, I'm going to give it a 3.5. Old Mike would have, well, I shouldn't say old Mike. 15-year-old Mike would have given it like a 2. But, I've watched it more, enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. And it flew really well, and it went through. But I'm going to say, I think if a lot of filler in this, and wish it wasn't, and I wanted it to be, more, but I enjoyed it. And considering what's to come, I really, was like, drink it up while you can. You still have Tom. Okay. That's what I'm going to say. So that wraps up our episode for this week. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Mr. Mike, thank you.
As always, it's my pleasure. It's good to be back.
It's glad to have you back. Baby Mike, it's also good to have you.
Hey, it is a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me for the second time in a row.
Well, you'll be back one more. So.
That's right.
Exactly. And Mary.
Thanks for having me. It was great to be here. And I just want to add, I just remembered there's a book, and it's actually one of the better Doctor Who books called Vampire Science, that explores this a little more. It's not a prequel, but it does explore the vampires coming back to Earth. And it's pretty well written. So if anybody's interested in the books, look up Vampire Science.
Awesome. Is it in print still?
It is. You can get it from Amazon. I read it not too long ago.
Cool. We'll have a link to it up in our show notes then. And you'll be able to get it through our Amazon link, which is now available again on the ESO website. Woo. So you can go to esonetwork.com, right on the top navigation. Amazon.com is right there, along with of course, the links to all our different shows and the ESO Network Patreon. Not too shabby. So we are going to be talking about next time Warrior's Gate. Yep, that one. The one where Romana and K9 say adieu to the TARDIS, and it'll be fun to watch. It'll be interesting to see people in lion costumes. You'll see. It'll be interesting. So we'll be back for that. Of course, we want to hear from you. Please write us at eswpodcast@gmail.com. My name is Mike Faber. We will see you here next time on Your Station Who Podcast. Peace. And we're done.
Hey.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a bi-weekly pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talent from across the universe. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individual and are used for entertainment value alone. You subscribe to our podcast up on iTunes, Stitcher, or follow our blog at www.esopodcast.com. You can also follow us up on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. If you enjoyed the show, please leave feedback up on iTunes.
Welcome to the Monster Sci-Fi Show podcast. I am your host, The Monster.
We are Venom.
I got my own parasite.
Parasite?
Sorry, Venom. I meant symbiote.
That's better. What do you do for fun around here?
I want to do a podcast with you.
What the hell's a podcast anyway?
Well, it's a weekly show where I talk about the latest news in sci-fi, movies, and TV.
You're such a nerd. Now I'm a loser on 2 planets.
The Monster Sci-Fi Show podcast is part of the ESO network. It's sci-fi from a certain point of view.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping through Amazon.com or the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.